Okay, welcome back to the Let's Learn Angular series where I record myself learning Angular in real time with as few edits as I can possibly get away with. We are on episode number 5 already, going through this pretty fast. So, what did we do in the last video? We basically learned how to extract a component from another component to make whether it's the presentation or the logic, although we didn't actually extract any logic, did we? Just presentational stuff. But yeah, now the details view of our inside of our heroes list, it's now reusable, so we could put that on a different page or a different component somewhere else in our app, and it's no longer coupled to the main hero list component. We also learned how to pass data from one component into another using that input decorator. And if I actually switch back over into Notion, where we've been taking notes. Forgot to check this one off. We did learn about dynamic styles using the class binding syntax. And then under concepts, I did want to just make mention down here, make a little bit of room for myself. We'll just, what do we call this? Like, it's gonna be like a whole concept called data binding. We'll just say like passing data from a parent component down to a child component. So yeah, we set up a property on the child component class using the input decorator. Whoops, got my, there we go, decorator like this. So we can do a little example quick here. So it would just be like, you had class my component, which obviously would be decorated with that component decorator. So just for the sake of completeness, we'll say component, and you know, there would be your component metadata would go in there. And then inside your class, that's where you'd have your input decorators. You would do input like this, right? And then the name of whatever the thing is. So in our case, it was like hero. And you could say like what the type is. And in our case, if it was, so if it's undefined, or I guess if it's like an optional property, you would do that in TypeScript. That's basically how you do it. This is effectively one-way data binding. I'll just take note. Yeah, this is what we call one-way data binding. Cool. And I never ended up taking note of how to do the two-way data binding. Should I guess I should probably maybe take notes on that. I think I might do that off camera just so we can get along, just start moving forward with the tutorial. So let's jump back into our web browser. For those of you jumping in late, just so you know, I am running our Angular application over here on localhost 4200. And I will just do a quick demonstration of how I got that going. So I got two terminals here, one just for executing arbitrary commands, and then I got another one running in the background here. And I'm gonna actually just quit that and just reserve. So it's ng serve -- open. And once that finishes, it'll automatically open up a browser tab for you running on localhost 4200, and then Angular is running that dev server and it's watching all your files, automatically refreshing. Actually, sometimes I don't even think it's refreshing. I think it might be doing what's called hot module reloading. So it's reloading components without having to refresh the whole page, which is like super nice. You don't have to keep refreshing the browser manually while you develop. So that said, let's jump into the docs and go to the tutorial where we left off from the last video. We just finished section number 3. We're going to go on to section 4, add services. Okay, so the Tour of Heroes component is currently getting and displaying fake data. After the refactoring in this tutorial, Heroes component will be lean and focused on supporting the view. It will also be easier to unit test with a mock service. Okay, so why services? Components shouldn't fetch or save data directly, and they certainly shouldn't knowingly present fake data. They should focus on presenting data and delegate data access to a service. In this tutorial, you'll create a hero service that all application classes can use to get heroes. So yeah, this is kind of continuing on from the theme of the last section, which is, not putting everything related to your application into like one file. So when we pulled out that details section of our heroes component, put it into its own component, now we can reuse that in multiple places. So if we take the logic for fetching heroes, that means there's multiple places in our app now where we can get the heroes and display them for whatever purpose. So yeah, instead of creating that service with the new keyword, which you'll rely on, instead of creating that service with the new keyword, you'll rely on Angular dependency injection to inject it into the heroes component constructor. So coming from a Laravel background, and I also caught in the last couple of videos, I keep accidentally saying Laravel instead of Angular. Just know, probably most of the time when I say Laravel, I'm actually meaning to say Angular. I don't know why I keep doing that. But I do come from a Laravel background, so I'm pretty comfortable with this idea of dependency injection, which isn't something you see in React and Vue very often, mainly because they don't actually ship with dependency injection out of the box, but Angular does. And yeah, so I guess that's what we're going to learn about in this section. So services are a great way to share information among classes that don't know each other. You'll create a message service and inject it in 2 places. 1, inject in hero service, which uses the service to send a message, and 2, inject in messages component, which displays that message and also displays the ID when the user clicks a hero. So this makes me believe we can have services depend on other services. So we're gonna create a hero service, but we're also gonna create a message service, which this will use. But also we're gonna have a messages component, which is gonna use that message service as well. Okay, next section, create the hero service. Using the Angular CLI, create a service called hero. And I'm gonna just get that hands-on practice and type this out myself instead of copying and pasting it. Jump into my terminal, and we're gonna go ng generate, I think it said service, and then the name of the service, and in this case it's just gonna be hero, and it's lowercase when you're running it from the command. And I think Angular is gonna be smart enough to, yeah, just kind of name everything properly. Oh, and you know what? I just realized I forgot to make, I do this at the end of every video, that last change, I forget to make the commit. So I'm just gonna do the detail stuff real quick. Was it just those 2? Yeah, I suppose it was. So we just added, was there not? Oh, I was gonna say, I thought there was one more change in here. So we'll do that, and we'll just say extract hero details to own component and commit that. And then let's just take a quick little gander here at what our Angular CLI generated for us when we ran that command. So looks like it scaffolded out a test for us for this service, which we're not going to focus on too much yet because we haven't gotten that far in the tutorial where we're worried about testing. I'm also just going to close all this because it's getting a little noisy in the code editor. So let's look at what the service is. So we import this thing called Injectable, which looks like it's a decorator that takes some metadata. This provided in key, which I'm sure we're going to learn about soon. And a service is just a class. I guess a service is just any class that's been exported and has this @injectable decorator. So they're pretty basic, pretty bare bones. Yeah, I'm gonna close that for now. Let's open up this and we'll just say generate hero service. That's our commit. I'm gonna switch back into the tutorial and continue on. The command generates a skeleton hero service class in source/app/hero.service.ts as follows. We saw that already. @injectable services. So notice that the new service imports the Angular injectable symbol and annotates the class with the @injectable decorator. This marks the class as one that participates in the dependency injection system. The hero service class is going to provide an injectable service, and it can also have its own injected dependencies. It doesn't have any dependencies yet, but it will soon. Cool. So this is going to be like a whole section in our like concepts down here, right? Dependency injection, and I might have to come back and start cleaning up and organizing these soon. But for now, yeah, like, what are we? Oh, I did it again. Why do I keep? My brain can't let go of Laravel. All right, Angular provides a DI system where dependencies can be injected into components and services without having to manually instantiate. If I could spell anything properly, instantiate the class using the new keyword. Is this not? There we go. So very quick, if that doesn't make sense to you, imagine if so we go into our, let's just say our hero component, and let's say we wanted to use that hero service. One way to do that would be to import from where was it? Probably here, right? So hero service. Let's say we imported that hero service, and we wanted it inside of this component. One way is just like inside the constructor, we could do something like this dot hero service equals new hero service, and then pass whatever dependencies that service took, if it had any. If not, just kind of do this. And like this is probably a pretty common thing. You've probably done this before if you haven't worked with a dependency injection system. But yeah, the annoying thing with this is that this becomes a lot harder to test, because we can't, if we wanted to mock or stub out or like make a fake version of hero service for whatever reason, one reason would be that it makes network calls to a backend, which is probably something that we don't want to do in our front end tests, is just allow things to make real network calls, especially if we're not actually running that backend. So this becomes harder to test because we can't swap this out easily. And then the other case would be for refactoring. Maybe hero service underneath has like a dependency on, say, like some third party API, and maybe we want to switch vendors to some other API. If we inject this properly, it's actually really easy to change just the hero service or to like create a new one, and basically just swap that out without having to rewrite everything that depends on hero service. So that's the reason why we don't want to do this in our code in general. So yeah, let me undo. Actually, you know what? I can just not save what I did there. Just discard that. Cool. Whoops. Oh yeah, no, did I want to be here? I think, oh yeah, one thing that I wanted to add was you can create an injectable service using the @inject, or not using, but like by decorating a class with the injectable decorator. Cool. So the injectable decorator accepts a metadata object for the service the same way the @component decorator did for your component classes. So now we are going to move on to get hero data. The hero service could get hero data from anywhere, a web service, local storage, or a mock data source. Removing data access from components means you can change your mind about the implementation anytime without touching any components, which is kind of what we were just talking about there a second ago. You know, you don't want to if you change the way you get data, like it said, it could be in local storage, could be some backend service where it's actually stored in a database. It shouldn't really matter where that data comes from. Your component should just not know anything about it. If you change the way you get your data and then you're modifying your component, that's a code smell. Stinks. So yeah, they don't know how the service works. Your components don't know how the service works. The implementation in this tutorial will continue to deliver mock heroes, which is fine. And so we need to import hero and heroes into our hero service. So let's go back into our code editor. We'll open up that hero service. And we need to import something from ./hero, and the other thing was from our mock heroes. So I'll go like this, and this should let me autocomplete. Oh wait, did I get the path wrong? I did. It's actually mock heroes, not mock heroes. Probably a faster way to do this if I would have just typed the stuff that I needed, but that's okay. Heroes, and we need, oops. The other one was hero, just the type. My ADD needs to see the spaces here, or rather OCD. Okay. So we did that. We need to add a get heroes method to return the mock heroes. So we need to add this method. I'm getting kind of lazy. I'm just getting bored of typing all this out and honestly importing. Anyway, I don't need to practice adding a method in TypeScript. So I'm just gonna copy this, jump over to our code editor, and go down into our service, and I'll paste that get heroes method. Save that and jump back over into the tutorial. So now we provide the hero service. So you must make the hero service available to the dependency injection system before Angular can inject it into the heroes component by registering a provider. Seems like a new term for our glossary, provider. Let's go down here and we will say provider. A provider is something that can create or deliver a service. In this case, it instantiates the hero service class to provide the service. So try to put that into my own words, but yeah, basically a provider. How do I word this? Provider is something that can create or deliver a service. In this case, it instantiates the hero service class to provide the service. So yeah, provider, I don't know, it like tells the DI system what services, what service to inject. I'll probably change that definition eventually, but for now that works. And to make sure that the hero service can provide this service, register it with the injector, which is the object that is responsible for choosing and injecting the provider where the application requires it. So an injector is also a new thing. So let me see. So to make sure the hero service can provide a service, we need to register. So we register hero service with an injector, or we register the provider with an injector. I'm gonna add this to here, but I'm still feeling a little fuzzy on what an injector is. It's an object that's responsible for choosing and injecting the provider, and then the provider is what gives the service. Okay, so an object that returns a provider, which a provider injects services. Again, might change that definition as I understand this stuff better in the future, but for now that works for me. So by default, the Angular CLI command ngGenerate service registers a provider with the root injector for your service by including provider metadata that is provided in that provided in keyword that we saw earlier when we ran that command. Root in the injectable decorator. So, okay, this is what. So root is some sort of like default injector, I guess, is what they're saying, that we didn't have to set up. And that root injector, we're basically saying that, whoops, I didn't mean to click that. Let's see, if we go to that service, we're saying that this thing is uninjectable. And we're saying it should be. So this is where I get a little confused, because this is a service, not a provider. So my understanding is that you register providers with injectors, but this looks like we're actually registering a service with the injector. So yeah, I'm still a little unclear on the relationship between everything and how it all talks to each other, but hopefully that just becomes more clear as we keep going through. So when you provide the service at the root level, Angular creates a single shared instance of hero service. It sounds like a singleton, and injects into any class that asks for it. Registering the provider in the injectable metadata also allows Angular to optimize an application by removing the service if it turns out not to be used after all. Oh, cool. Well, that's interesting. So I guess I wonder if I never end up using this service anywhere, Angular doesn't bother registering the service with the root injector then? I wonder, does that happen at runtime, or is that just like a build step? I'm not sure if it matters too much to understand the difference there, but I'm pretty sure that would happen in build time. So yeah, we can learn more about providers. We can see the providers section. To learn more about injectors, we can see this stuff. So we might visit this stuff. I'm gonna open up a couple tabs. If I'm still feeling confused about this stuff, we may sort of pause the tutorial and spend maybe a video just like getting a better understanding of this, because obviously like this injection framework or system, as they refer to it, obviously is a pretty core component of, like, pretty core piece of working with Laravel, Angular. So there it is again. I can't stop. Yeah, I might end up doing a video where we come back to this if these things don't just kind of click for me while we're walking through the tutorial. So anyway, let's move on for now. The hero service is now ready to plug into the hero's component. See, they got a little aside here. This is an interim code sample that will allow you to provide and use the hero service. At this point, the code will differ from the hero service in the final code review. Oh, okay, so we're about to just kind of branch off from the main tutorial and do sort of like an aside section. Is that what they're saying? Are they referring to what happened above, or are they referring to about what's about to happen next? I guess we'll find out. So then I might as well commit the change that we did here then. We'll just say add a getter for heroes in the service. Okay. So yeah, let's open the heroes component class file. We're going to delete that heroes import because you won't need that anymore. Import the hero service instead. So yeah, I'm not gonna bother typing all that out. Go over here, go to our hero components.ts file. Just gonna go to the top here and whoops, I didn't mean to do that. What I meant to do is that. Just get rid of that. So we got the hero service now. Obviously, we're not going to need line 9 anymore. I assume that that's going to get set in the constructor, but we're going to find out in just a second here. So replace the definition of heroes property with a declaration. So we're going to just initialize that to an empty array of hero objects. And we are saying that that can't be undefined. Get rid of that nasty semicolon. That's gross. Ew. Inject the hero service. So add a private hero service parameter of type hero service to the constructor. Okay, we can do that just down here. So we're going to say private, and this is going to be, what did they say? It was called hero service of type hero service. And then I can only assume we're going to initialize this down here in just a second. Let's read through anyway. So the parameter simultaneously defines a private hero service property and identifies it as a hero service injection site. Interesting. If this comes up again, I might add that to our glossary. If this comes up more than once, but I guess they're just referring to this as like an injection site just refers to an argument in a function or constructor that the dependency injection system can pass something into. That's what I'm assuming that means. When Angular creates a heroes component, the dependency injection system sets the hero service parameter to the singleton instance of hero service. So add get heroes. Okay, so we're gonna create a method to retrieve the heroes from the service, which we did do that. Maybe that's what they were referring to as the deviation. So yeah, the stuff that we did above, we're just saying that won't be in the final code review, but this implementation would be, right? So we're just gonna grab, oh no, sorry, this is different. We're in the component now, not in the service. This is a whole new method. So we're just gonna throw that below the onSelect. So now our heroes component has a getHeroes method. And whenever that is called, we are gonna set heroes to whatever the hero service returns, which at some point, I assume that this will become an asynchronous thing, but for now it's not. So maybe we're not putting anything in the constructor here then. I'm just gonna remove that. Okay. Yeah, because we're inlining this, I guess. Yeah, sometimes I'm a little fuzzy with TypeScript, and maybe this is even just a JavaScript thing. I'm not 100% sure, but I thought we were gonna have to do like this dot hero service or whatever. But actually, yeah, I guess if you just do it in line, this just automatically becomes a property on the class for us, and we can just access it. So there's no reason to fill out the body of that constructor. And we are going to, here's where that ng on init method is finally going to come into play. We've been seeing it in our component for a while. And we will be calling that getHeroes method. So it says you could call that in the constructor, but that's not the best practice. And I'm assuming the reason for that is because if we call it in the constructor, it gets invoked immediately when the class itself is instantiated, but because Angular has like an event loop, basically, right? Like there's like a life cycle to an Angular application, just like React or Vue. So there's things called lifecycle hooks, just like other frameworks. And we want that method to be called at an appropriate time when the framework knows that it's okay, that everything has sort of been set up. So that's why we're probably gonna need to do that. So let's just see what the tutorial says about that. Reserve the constructor for minimal initialization, such as wiring constructor parameters to properties. The constructor shouldn't do anything. So in other words, no like, calling out to other services or executing any logic. It certainly shouldn't call a function that makes HTTP requests to a remote server as a real data service would. Instead, call getHeroes inside the ng-init lifecycle hook and let Angular call ng on init at an appropriate time after constructing a heroes component instance. So yeah, we are going to go back to the component, go to our init hook, and we're just going to call this getHeroes. And that will be, there isn't anything, it doesn't return anything. It just sets it here in the method, so it's good, just exactly like that. Did see left I keep copying their code and they're sneaking semicolons in on me. It's terrible. See it run. Okay, so after the browser refreshes, oh, sorry, 1 second. Sorry about that again. So yeah, see it run. So we should actually see this. I'm just gonna drag this over here. Oh, we do have an error. So I must have did something wrong. Let's we might see this in the console. Errors. I did see that it mentioned something about seeing useful information in the dev tools, but I'm just not. So we'll just go to where I'm more familiar with seeing errors, which is in the spot where you actually run the thing, right? So it's saying that property getHeroes does not exist on type hero service. Really? Thought we did do that. Let's go over to the hero service. Seems to me like we have a thing called getHeroes. Why? Let me just, so TypeScript seems to think that our hero service does have that. And we are this could be like an injection issue. Maybe I didn't wire this up. Did I miss something? I might have wired something up wrong. Or basically the object that's getting injected just doesn't have that. Yeah, property getHeroes does not exist on type hero service. Well, type hero service is just the class, which does have a getHeroes method. And okay, well, let's back up a little bit and just see, did we miss anything along the way? I did import it properly. I mean, all that stuff has to be wired up properly, right? Or like TypeScript would be mad at me. You would think. Like this is definitely, I can like, I can control or input into that. I got this on my service. Maybe I'll just copy and paste this because maybe I accidentally mistyped something. Let's just go. That seemed to be a difference there, actually. So let's see. Oh, okay. So I must have. What did I do here? I'm not seeing the difference. Maybe you can, maybe it's more obvious to you, but I'm just not seeing a difference, but that seemed to work. Okay, I'm gonna close the dev tools. Okay, I think I'm gonna cut the video off here. If I go back to where we are in this section of the tutorial, looks like there's still quite a bit. And yeah, I feel like we learned quite a bit about dependency injection. We learned how to create a service and how to inject that into a component. So it just feels like a good spot to call it. I do want to make sure, just to double check, this is all still working, right? I can click on a here and we see the details down here, and I can the 2A data binding is still working. So we didn't break anything with that refactor. Yeah, that's the end of the episode. So thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, don't forget to click the like button down below. Subscribe if you want to see more of these. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Dan Fletcher Dev. I also stream sometimes on Twitch, so you can find me over there. It's the original Fletch. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.